So we have our first INFJ guest slash interviewee. Say hello to Eryn.
Hey guys, it's Eryn. Thank you so much for having me on. I'm so excited to work with Lou and with Nathan. I love what they've done with the channel. I love Lou's videos from the beginning, and I'm just really honored that they invited me on. So I'm excited to get into this stuff.
Okay, so question 1. How did you first work out that you were an INFJ?
I was in college when I first took the MBTI test for the first time, and it was a 16 personalities test, but I did find myself really relating to the archetype because, well, at the time I was in the university studying international relations, and I was learning about conflicts across the planet. I was learning about trade agreements and, unilateral trade agreements, the losers of the world, the winners of the world, and just the level of stratification on a macro level and on a micro level. And each time I got exposed to the micro level of the macro level problems, I couldn't really handle it very well. Like, I could not stop thinking about it, couldn't stop getting emotional and crying, and I just realized after a while that being the child of 2 addicts and not really having my own emotions considered and not really having my own well-being looked after, that same empathy that I had toward people who maybe didn't reciprocate it. The problem is that I still have such a pity for like the bad guys, I guess, but I also have such an empathy for and a bleeding heart for any sort of victim or any sort of person who's struggling with hopelessness, whether it be disease or poverty or having really uncaring and neglectful parents or growing up in a war-torn country, like those types of situations, those hopeless situations. And so I really resonated with the archetype that was given. And I didn't really learn about the cognitive functions until later, but when I did, it just made sense. I really resonated with NI, probably even more than FE. NI imagination, that just constant living in one's own head, in one's own world, stuck out at me. And I can remember me doing things like that because I would spend hours in my room. Like, I didn't have the nicest toys or anything, but I would make up the worlds with what I did have. I would build worlds under furniture and in closets, and I would just live in that world, making up stories with these characters and these dynamics. And only when my parents came in to get me did I leave. Like, I wouldn't just leave on my own accord because I was too busy in fantasy land in my head. So that was a big indicator that I probably did have NI, but I also was that kid that would worry about my parents, and if they would come to me with emotions and sadness, I would always try to make them feel better, and I would feel their pain very profoundly. And so I would do whatever I could to try to make everyone happy. I would try to make them laugh or be goofy or just whatever I could say to lighten them up, or like a possible outcome that I could try to imagine for them. So that was just one use of NI with FE.
INFJs have a function stack that sometimes makes them not fit in easily in modern day life. It often takes them a while to understand where they should position themselves to make use of their talents. What are the struggles in life that frustrate you the most about being an INFJ?
The struggles that frustrate me about being INFJ are pretty obvious. I mean, I do have sensor problems. When you spend so much time in your head, it's hard to become fully present in the real world without taking the steps to meditate or to exercise or something extreme, because it's just really heavy. Like, you're always imagining things, you're always automatically looking at the implications of stuff, you're automatically trailing off into different ideas. And I was diagnosed with ADD. I now know that part of that is having the INFJ personality type, because intuition is always in la la land and my attention is always in la la land. But yeah, it's hard to bring my ideas and my thoughts into the real world some people say I'm well-spoken, but I totally think it's false. I feel like I talk in circles a lot, and a lot of the times I'll lose my trail of thought. The other problem is that it's really hard for me to project my voice out and consistently be aware of my presence or lack of presence in the world. Also, I wish I could turn off being so in touch with people's emotional landscape, their likes, their dislikes, their values, their unvalues, whether or not they like me, because being in touch with that, it's not that I'm a people pleaser trying to do everything for everybody else, but what it is, it's very distracting. It's hard not to overanalyze every situation, and it would be much easier to just carry out the idea if I wasn't so worried.
Question 3. What are those strengths you enjoy bringing to the world as an INFJ?
So what I do like about being an INFJ is that I'm good at coming up with ideas that maybe other people don't think about, because a lot of people think in black and white, or they think correct, incorrect, and the way that I kind of see things is I would like whatever system we're thinking about to not only work for everybody else, but make everybody happy. I want everybody to get everything out of life and out of the situation, out of the trip, out of the experience that they want to get out of it. I want people to find meaning and happiness in their experiences. So when I try to plan something that the tribe will be on board with, that everybody will be on board with, I try to make it in such a way the thing will work, but it'll also make everyone happy. Sometimes I'll take it to the extreme where I will try to make people happy to the point where it doesn't work. FE and TI are pretty balanced, so after a while, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. It's got to work some other way. So when I was planning a ski trip with my husband and my friends, there were like 8 of us involved. Everybody wanted to find out when we were going to go out to eat. Other people wanted to save money and cook food. Other people wanted to go to Breckenridge and go explore the town one day. Other people wanted to ski every day. But everybody wanted to be on the same page and enjoy the trip as a group. So my idea was to, instead of looking at it in a black and white scenario, try to find a gray area and not solidify that gray area, but make the gray area more of a framework within which people could customize their experiences, I guess. So I created this base camp, which is a website that people do to collaborate together on projects. And we just all signed up and we collaborated. We had a potluck ready so that the people who wanted to save money, we would cook different meals on different days, and we could claim the nights we wanted to cook the meals on. And then there was a calendar where we could schedule in different things that we all wanted to do and have discussions about it. And so everybody knew what everybody was going to be doing, so everybody would be included and they could change their mind at the last minute. Things like that. It was great. So having ideas where everybody can have kind of a egalitarian, everybody has a choice and a say in the matter, and everybody gets the experience that makes them happy, but also the one that works and brings everybody together. That kind of thing makes me happy. When everybody's happy, that means more to me than whether or not it's chaotic or not. So, yeah.
People love to analyze how each type interacts in relationships, because it's often the case that, depending on your function stack, people will tend to take certain archetypical positions in relationships. So, who are you in your relationships? And do you have a role that you commonly take in them?
So, in my relationships, I have taken on a counselor role in a lot of ways, because I do watch people, I do analyze people's lives, I do want to see everybody in my life happy. The way I go about making people happy is not through taking care of them or bringing them sensical things. It's not practical items. I'm not gonna know to get somebody a glass of water, and I'm not gonna bake a cake. But what I do for people is I try to find I try to serve them up this life vision for them, and usually they enjoy it and they can bounce off of that. They also come to me for advice. I have a friend who called me her fairy godmother because she calls me every week for advice, and she just values the advice that I give her, because I do have so much life experience from so many different types of situations, including abuse and trauma and stuff like that. So that's kind of the role I take, mostly like the counselor role. I'm also the person who takes the longest to warm up to somebody, but it's because when I do warm up to them, I consider them a friend for life. I consider them part of my tribe, pretty much, and I don't take that stuff lightly. So
people often say that INFJs are the rarest type. I'm not sure if that's true or not, but I think I would agree that they are one of the most misunderstood types. So what do you think a common misconception of being an INFJ is?
So there are a lot of common misconceptions of the INFJ. First of all, INFJs are not the only empaths out there. That we're all people pleasers and that we're all gonna just do whatever anybody wants. And I don't think that's true. I think we do want everybody to be happy, but we're going to look beyond the here and now and what people want in the moment. We're going to think about people's future happiness. We're going to think about long-term happiness and what's best for everyone. Another misconception about INFJs is we're not mystical. Like, I think it is a very fitting fantasy trope for INFJs to be mystical and like oracles and stuff, but that's not real life. It's not a real thing. And I wouldn't say that INFJs are not selfish, because we definitely have very strong NI, and NI is very self-focused. So whatever the vision is kind of takes priority. I know I can spend hours in my office making films, writing stories, whatever the vision is, to the total neglect of spending time with people who love me, making phone calls to people, and that is very real. And oftentimes if I'm very, very honed in, I will ignore people who call unless it pertains to the idea itself. So that's very true. Also, the INFJ door slam doesn't happen as often as you think. Honestly, we give people, I personally think that we give people very long-term chances, even if they've wronged us on the front end, even if we've seen behaviors on the front end. We're not necessarily like, I don't like you. It's really hard for me to just not like somebody and make my whole opinion about somebody based on whether or not I like them. We kind of see everybody as like human beings and want to see how things play out. We want to see how people are. And it takes years. It can take years before we door slam somebody, especially when we see potential in people. Because I can see potential in people for years and years, even if they've said something annoying. I think the one exception to this is if their opinions unfair in my eyes, then it's really harder, I think. But if I've already known them and I've known that they've had certain opinions or whatever, it still takes a lot before I like do the whole INFJ door slam thing. But it is true what they say, that once the door slam has happened, I don't usually let people back in, and but the thing is, that's only really happened to 3 people ever in my life. Other than that, I would always try to start each situation as if it was a new chance, but I would never forget the pattern, I guess. I would just adjust my behavior to kind of anticipate whatever behavior it is so that I wouldn't be affected by it and they could still be their selves, I guess. Yeah, that's all I have. Thank you so much for having me on. This was so much fun. I loved this channel when it was Lou. I'm really loving it now that Nathan's hosting it. I'm loving Love Who. Love, 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 love. Even if we seem aloof a lot of the time or detached, honestly, everything that we strive for in life is in the name of love. And I hope that that's how people can think of INFJs, because that's what I really think that we bring to the table. So, thank you. So
everyone, go and check out Eryn's channel. And if you're a fan of our content and like our other videos, feel free to check out our Patreon page. You can donate to fund our world domination. You can request a video on any topic, and if it's interesting, we'll put it on the channel. And if you think our opinion is worthwhile, we'll also give you our best guess on what we think your type is.